I don't think she believes too heavily in instruction. She believes in finding your own path, but with very good examples and guidance around you to support you.
In one of the most shocking revelations of the modern royal era, Prince William and Princess Kate have recently confirmed long-standing rumors and suspicions about the tragic death of Princess Diana. The world has long speculated about the true nature of the events that unfolded in the Pont de l'Alma tunnel on that fateful night in 1997. Though numerous conspiracy theories circulated for decades, the royal family's consistent silence on the matter only fueled public intrigue. Now, with William and Kate's unprecedented admission, the global community is left in utter disbelief, grappling with the knowledge that what many suspected all along was true. Princess Diana's death may have been orchestrated from within. Before we start, hit the like and subscribe buttons for more exclusive news. This revelation comes after years of swirling rumors, accusations, and investigations that never fully satisfied the public's quest for the truth. From the moment the news broke of Diana's passing, millions of people around the globe expressed skepticism about the official narrative. A car crash, blamed on a combination of an overzealous paparazzi chase and a driver under the influence, always seemed too simple a story for such a high-profile and controversial figure. Diana, known for her candid nature and bold defiance of royal norms, was more than just the ex-wife of the future King of England. She was a symbol of hope, a beacon for the underprivileged, and in many ways, a threat to the very institution she once represented. For years, the public has clung to various theories, ranging from clandestine government operations to involvement from the British intelligence agencies, MI5 and MI6. Many believe that Diana, after her divorce from Prince Charles, had become a liability to the monarchy. Her outspoken nature, public criticism of the royal family, and growing popularity outside of the British aristocracy made her a polarizing figure. To some, she was an icon of compassion, while to others, she was a danger to the traditional values the monarchy upheld. This stark division only served to stoke the flames of conspiracy, with many questioning whether her death was truly an accident. The tipping point for these rumors gaining widespread legitimacy came when Prince William and Princess Kate decided to finally address the issue. Their statement, though carefully crafted, implied far more than it directly stated. For years, William had remained tight-lipped about his mother's tragic death, a subject that was understandably painful for him to revisit. But as he aged and assumed more responsibility within the royal family, it became clear that his mother's legacy would forever be intertwined with his public life. As the Duke of Cambridge, William could no longer avoid the elephant in the room. His and Kate's decision to confirm what so many had speculated was seen by many as a necessary step toward transparency, even if it opened old wounds for the British public and the world at large. In their statement, William and Kate did not explicitly point fingers, but the implications were undeniable. By admitting that there was more to Diana's death than the official report suggested, they indirectly supported the idea that powerful forces within the establishment may have played a role. This confirmation has sent shockwaves through the British monarchy, as it not only tarnishes the institution's reputation, but also raises questions about its moral integrity. After all, if the monarchy was involved in covering up, or worse, orchestrating Diana's death, how could the British public trust the institution that claims to represent them? This revelation also has profound implications for how the royal family is viewed globally. Diana was, in many ways, the first royal to transcend the boundaries of monarchy and become a true international celebrity. Her charity work, her compassion for those suffering from AIDS, and her efforts to remove the stigma around mental health endeared her to people far beyond the borders of the United Kingdom. Her death was not just a loss for Britain, but for the world. Now, with William and Kate confirming what many had suspected, the global reaction is one of outrage, disbelief, and betrayal. The fact that Diana's own children would come forward with this information is perhaps the most damning aspect of the entire situation. William, in particular, has always been seen as the embodiment of a modernized, more relatable royal. His marriage to Kate, a commoner, was viewed as a break from the rigid traditions of the past. Together, they represent a new era for the monarchy, one that is supposed to be more open, more progressive, and more in touch with the realities of modern life. Yet, by revealing the truth about Diana's death, they have exposed the dark underbelly of an institution that many thought was finally evolving. The public reaction has been swift and intense. Across social media platforms, people have expressed their shock, with many calling for further investigations into the events leading up to Diana's death. Some have even gone so far as to demand a full public inquiry, not just into the crash itself, but into the actions of the royal family in the years leading up to it. The fact that Diana had, shortly before her death, hinted at fears for her safety in a letter to her butler, Paul Burrell, only adds to the growing belief that her death was no accident. Beyond the immediate implications for the royal family, this revelation also forces a re-examination of the role of the media in Diana's life and death. The paparazzi were initially blamed for the crash, as they had been relentlessly pursuing Diana and her companion Dodi Fayed that night. Yet, with William and Kate's admission, the focus has shifted from the press to the very people Diana once called family. This raises uncomfortable questions about the extent to which the media was used as a smokescreen to divert attention from the real perpetrators of the crime. Were the paparazzi simply scapegoats in a larger, more sinister plan to eliminate Diana? Another key element that this revelation brings to light is the role of Prince Charles and his relationship with Diana during the final years of her life. Though the two had been divorced for over a year by the time of her death, their relationship remained a focal point of media attention. Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles, now his wife, had been a source of great pain for Diana, something she spoke about candidly in her famous BBC interview in 1995. Her willingness to speak so openly about her struggles with the royal family, her marriage, and her mental health was unprecedented for a member of the royal family. It is now clearer than ever that Diana's defiance of royal protocol may have sealed her fate. William and Kate's admission also opens up a new chapter in the relationship between the monarchy and the public. For decades, the British public has had a love-hate relationship with the royal family, viewing them as both a symbol of national pride and a relic of a bygone era. However, Diana's death shifted this dynamic significantly. She was seen as a victim of the institution, someone who was chewed up and spit out by a family more concerned with preserving tradition than with supporting its members. With this new information, that perception will only deepen. How can the public reconcile their respect for the monarchy with the knowledge that it may have played a role in the death of one of its most beloved members? The impact on Prince Harry, Diana's younger son, is another dimension worth considering. Harry has been vocal in recent years about his struggles with mental health and the pressures of being a royal. His decision to step back from royal duties and relocate to the United States with his wife, Meghan Markle, was seen by many as a rejection of the very system that contributed to his mother's death. With William and Kate's confirmation of the conspiracy theories surrounding Diana's passing, Harry's decision to distance himself from the monarchy now seems even more justified. The brothers, once inseparable, have taken divergent paths, but both appear to be united in their desire to see the truth about their mother's death come to light. The revelation also raises questions about the future of the monarchy itself. The institution has weathered many storms over the centuries, from political upheaval to scandal, but this latest bombshell could prove to be its greatest challenge yet. If the public loses faith in the monarchy's ability to uphold the values of transparency, honesty, and integrity, it could lead to a significant decline in support for the royal family. In an era where institutions across the globe are being questioned and held to higher standards, the British monarchy may find itself on shaky ground. For William and Kate, this revelation marks a turning point in their roles as future king and queen. Their decision to speak out, though courageous, carries immense risk. They are walking a fine line between honoring Diana's legacy and maintaining the stability of the monarchy. By admitting the possibility of an inside job, they have opened Pandora's box, and it is unclear what the full consequences will be. Will this newfound transparency earn them respect and trust from the public, or will it irreparably damage the institution they are set to inherit? The global response to this revelation has been swift and multifaceted. In many ways, it has reignited the intense emotional connection people felt to Princess Diana. Her death was one of the defining moments of the late 20th century, and the grief it inspired has never truly gone away. Now, with the confirmation that her death may have been the result of an inside job, those emotions have resurfaced with a vengeance. People around the world are demanding justice, not just for Diana, but for all those who have been hurt or silenced by powerful institutions. One of the most striking consequences of this revelation will be the impact on the monarchy's credibility. The British royal family, often regarded as the epitome of tradition, has managed to maintain its relevance in the 21st century by evolving with the times. Queen Elizabeth II's long reign saw her steer the family through various crises, from scandals involving individual members to broader questions about the institution's purpose in a modern world. For decades, the royals have walked a delicate tightrope between maintaining the allure of mystique and adapting to the public's growing demand for transparency and accountability. But with William and Kate's confirmation of a possible inside job regarding Diana's death, the thin veneer of royal invulnerability may be permanently cracked. Royal watchers have long debated the survival of the British monarchy in the face of changing social values. Many of the monarchy's traditional roles, representing national unity, providing charitable patronage, and preserving cultural heritage, have been called into question in recent decades. The revelations about Diana's death further undermine the image of the monarchy as a force for stability and continuity. If a beloved royal figure like Princess Diana could be betrayed by those closest to her, it casts a shadow of doubt over the monarchy's integrity. For a family built on trust, this could prove to be an existential threat. The effects of this revelation may also extend beyond the UK. Monarchies across Europe have long observed and learned from one another, and the British royal family has historically been viewed as a model of longevity and adaptability. Countries like Spain, Denmark, Sweden, and the Netherlands still maintain their own royal families, although their roles are largely ceremonial. The British monarchy, due to its international prominence and cultural influence, is often seen as the benchmark for how a royal family should operate in the modern age. If the British royals, arguably the most famous monarchy in the world, can be implicated in such a nefarious scandal, it raises the question of how monarchies in general should be viewed. The fallout from this revelation could ripple across Europe, prompting debates about the future of these institutions in the 21st century. The emotional toll of this disclosure on the royal family itself cannot be overlooked. While the world grapples with the implications, those closest to Diana, especially her sons William and Harry, are likely enduring a private reckoning. For years, both princes have carried the weight of their mother's tragic death. And while they have each dealt with it in their own way, this new information likely reopens old wounds. William, now preparing for his eventual role as king, has taken a more reserved approach, choosing to uphold his royal duties and maintain the public image of the monarchy. Harry, on the other hand, has been more vocal about his struggles with the institution, ultimately stepping back from royal life altogether. This new revelation could further fracture the relationship between the brothers, or conversely, it could bring them closer together. Harry's departure from royal duties and his public criticisms of the family, particularly in his interviews with Oprah Winfrey and his own memoir Spare, have created a deep divide between him and his brother. Yet both men have an unbreakable bond through their shared love for their mother. William and Kate's admission of a possible inside job might give Harry more reasons to justify his departure, but it could also lead to deeper discussions about how they can together honor Diana's legacy and confront the truth of her untimely death. For William, this moment presents a complex dilemma. On one hand, he is now inextricably tied to the institution that he will one day lead, and his primary responsibility as a future monarch will be to preserve and protect the monarchy. On the other hand, he is the son of Princess Diana, a woman who, by all accounts, was marginalized, silenced, and potentially harmed by the very institution that William represents. Balancing these two realities will be one of the greatest challenges of his life. His decision to come forward with this information, in conjunction with his wife Kate, signals a desire for change and transparency, but it also places him in a precarious position. How does one lead an institution that may have been complicit in the death of their own mother? The global public's reaction to this revelation is another aspect that deserves close attention. For many, the death of Princess Diana was a personal loss. She was a figure who transcended the boundaries of royalty, connecting with people on an emotional level that few public figures can achieve. Her humanity, her vulnerability, and her willingness to speak out against injustice made her a beloved figure, not just in the UK, but around the world. As the people's princess, Diana represented a break from the stuffy, traditional royal mold. Her tragic death left a gaping wound in the collective consciousness, and for many, that wound has never fully healed. With this new information, feelings of grief, anger, and betrayal are likely to resurface. The initial disbelief that accompanied her death has now been replaced by a sense of vindication for those who always suspected foul play. The public's trust in the official narrative was shaky at best, but now it seems their worst fears have been confirmed. Many will likely demand answers, and it's possible that this revelation will spur renewed calls for an independent inquiry into Diana's death. Although previous investigations, including the 2008 inquest that ruled her death a result of gross negligence by her driver and the paparazzi, attempted to provide closure, these findings never fully satisfied public skepticism. Now, the demand for a fresh, transparent investigation will likely gain momentum. There is also a broader cultural impact to consider. Princess Diana's death was one of the first global tragedies of the modern media age. The 24-hour news cycle, which was still in its infancy at the time, exploded in the wake of her death, with millions around the world glued to their televisions, watching the aftermath unfold in real time. The media frenzy that surrounded her life, and ultimately her death, was unprecedented. In the years since, our relationship with the media has only intensified. The advent of social media, with its constant stream of news and commentary, means that information spreads faster and reaches more people than ever before. As this story unfolds, it is likely to dominate headlines and social media platforms for weeks, if not months. Public figures, celebrities, and political leaders may weigh in on the implications of this revelation, further driving the conversation. The role of the media in Diana's life, particularly the aggressive tactics of the paparazzi, will also come under renewed scrutiny. While the paparazzi were initially blamed for causing the car crash that led to her death, this new information suggests that they may have been used as convenient scapegoats to divert attention from the true orchestrators of the tragedy. This revelation may also inspire a broader conversation about power, privilege, and accountability. The idea that even someone as high profile and beloved as Princess Diana could be silenced or harmed by powerful forces within her own family speaks to a larger issue of unchecked power. In recent years, we have seen a growing demand for accountability from institutions that have traditionally operated in secrecy, from governments to corporations to religious organizations. The royal family, despite its symbolic role, wields considerable influence and power, both in the UK and globally. If it is revealed that members of the royal household or other powerful entities were involved in Diana's death, it could fuel a larger movement demanding more transparency and accountability from all institutions that hold significant power over people's lives. For younger generations who may not have been alive when Diana died, this revelation offers a new lens through which to view her legacy. Many millennials and Gen Z individuals who have grown up in an era of increased skepticism toward institutions may see Diana's story as emblematic of a larger struggle between individual autonomy and institutional control. Diana, in many ways, was ahead of her time. She championed causes that are now widely recognized as vital, including mental health awareness, HIV/AIDS advocacy, and the dismantling of stigmas around eating disorders and self-harm. For younger people, her life and death may resonate even more strongly in light of these new revelations, as they reflect broader societal concerns about how those who challenge the status quo are often treated. While the direct involvement of King Charles III in any conspiracy surrounding Princess Diana's death has not been explicitly proven, the very fact that her death is now viewed through the lens of suspicion is likely to cast a long shadow over his reign. For Charles, who has long been perceived as both a controversial and complex figure in royal history, this development brings with it an existential crisis. His association with Camilla, who was famously referred to as the third person in his marriage to Diana, continues to taint public perceptions of him. Though Charles has spent decades working to rehabilitate his image, particularly in the wake of Diana's death, this new wave of scrutiny reopens wounds that many thought had begun to heal. The public reaction to Charles ascending the throne had been relatively muted, a combination of acceptance and indifference. After all, the British monarchy has always been more about continuity than the personalities who inhabit it. However, the revelation of a potential inside job concerning Diana's death changes the context in which Charles's kingship is viewed. Even if he is not directly implicated in any wrongdoing, the fact that such theories exist and have now been implicitly acknowledged by his son, Prince William, puts his legacy into question. For years, Charles has cultivated an image as a forward-thinking royal, advocating for environmental causes, organic farming, and modern architecture. But Diana's death, and now the lingering doubts surrounding the circumstances of her demise, complicates this narrative. To many, it calls into question the very heart of his legitimacy as monarch. Can a king be seen as a moral leader when the death of his ex-wife is now widely believed to be the result of a conspiracy? More importantly, will the public, both in the UK and abroad, view his reign as tainted by the unresolved controversies of the past? This new scrutiny could also significantly impact Charles's marriage to Camilla, now Queen Consort. While the public has grown more accepting of Camilla over the years, her presence as Charles's partner is forever linked to the breakdown of his marriage to Diana. Camilla's reputation was severely damaged in the 1990s as details of her long-standing affair with Charles became public knowledge. Despite a concerted effort to rebrand her image, she remains a polarizing figure in the UK, particularly among older generations who still remember the scandal. With the re-emergence of suspicions surrounding Diana's death, Camilla may once again find herself under the media microscope. Some Diana supporters have never forgiven her for her role in the collapse of Charles and Diana's marriage, and this latest development is likely to reignite those feelings of animosity. If any connection, no matter how indirect, is made between Camilla and the events leading up to Diana's death, it could further damage her standing in the eyes of the public. For Camilla, the risk is that she becomes collateral damage in the renewed focus on Diana's tragic demise. What is also striking about this revelation is the potential diplomatic and political fallout. The British royal family is not just a cultural institution, it is a symbol of the state itself. The monarch's role, while largely ceremonial, plays a significant part in the UK's global diplomacy. The Queen or King serves as a figurehead in Commonwealth relations, and the royal family frequently engages in soft power diplomacy by representing the nation in state visits and ceremonial functions abroad. With the potential scandal of Diana's death once again taking center stage, it could affect the monarchy's ability to function effectively as a tool of British foreign policy. The Commonwealth, made up of 56 member states that were mostly former British colonies, looks to the British monarch as its symbolic leader. Princess Diana was beloved across many Commonwealth nations for her humanitarian work, and her death left a deep impact in countries as far-flung as Australia, Canada, and India. For these nations, Diana's image as a compassionate, empathetic figure stood in stark contrast to the more reserved, stoic nature of the royal family. Now, with the idea of an inside job being confirmed, there may be a sense of betrayal among the Commonwealth nations. The scandal could renew anti-monarchy sentiment in countries that have been contemplating severing ties with the British Crown, such as Australia and Jamaica, where Republican movements have gained traction in recent years. At home in the United Kingdom, this revelation could also have political consequences. For centuries, the monarchy has existed in a delicate dance with the British government, with the latter supporting the former for the sake of national unity and tradition. However, in recent years, the relationship between the government and the monarchy has grown increasingly complex. With Brexit, ongoing economic crises, and changing social attitudes, the relevance of the monarchy has been questioned more openly than ever before. Now, with Diana's death being re-examined in light of new revelations, the British public may grow more vocal in questioning the role of the royal family. The monarchy's existence is ultimately contingent on the goodwill of the public, and if public trust in the institution continues to erode, it could force Parliament to seriously consider curtailing the powers and privileges of the monarchy. In the most extreme scenario, a scandal of this magnitude could even accelerate conversations about abolishing the monarchy altogether. While such a move would represent a seismic shift in British governance and culture, the question of whether the monarchy can survive this scandal will undoubtedly dominate public discourse in the months and years to come. For Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and his government, this creates a political dilemma. Historically, British governments have gone to great lengths to protect the monarchy and distance it from political controversy. However, with public opinion potentially turning against the royals in the wake of these revelations, the government may be forced to re-examine its relationship with the monarchy. Supporting the royal family too vigorously could be seen as tone-deaf to public sentiment, particularly if there are calls for greater transparency or even a renewed investigation into Diana's death. On the other hand, distancing the government from the royals could destabilize one of the UK's oldest and most enduring institutions. How the government navigates this tightrope will be crucial in the coming years, particularly as the UK grapples with its post-Brexit identity and its future on the world stage. On the cultural front, the renewed focus on Princess Diana's death is likely to have profound effects on how her legacy is remembered. Diana has always been viewed as a complex figure, simultaneously a victim of circumstance and a trailblazer who challenged the norms of the royal family. With these new revelations, however, the focus will likely shift more toward her role as a tragic heroine, a woman who was ultimately undone by the very institution she sought to reform. Diana's humanitarian work, particularly in areas such as landmine removal, AIDS awareness, and mental health advocacy, has long been celebrated. But with the confirmation of the suspicions surrounding her death, her life will now be viewed through a new lens. She will likely come to be seen as a martyr, a woman who paid the ultimate price for daring to challenge the status quo. Her defiance of the royal family, her candidness about her struggles, and her willingness to speak out about her mental health were radical at the time, but they resonate even more strongly in today's cultural climate. In the age of #MeToo and growing awareness of mental health issues, Diana's story feels more relevant than ever. She was one of the first public figures to openly discuss her battles with depression, bulimia, and feelings of isolation. Her vulnerability made her relatable to millions of people around the world, particularly women who felt similarly trapped by societal expectations. With the knowledge that her death may have been orchestrated by forces within her own family, Diana's struggles will take on a new layer of meaning. She will likely be remembered not just as a tragic figure, but as a woman who fought against a powerful institution and lost her life in the process. This renewed focus on Diana's death also highlights the broader issue of how powerful institutions treat individuals who refuse to conform. In many ways, Diana's story can be seen as a cautionary tale about the dangers of challenging entrenched power structures. Her willingness to break with royal protocol, speak openly about her personal life, and champion causes that were considered controversial at the time made her a target for those who wanted to preserve the status quo. This new revelation underscores the lengths to which some may go to silence individuals who pose a threat to powerful institutions. The parallels between Diana's story and other high-profile figures who have challenged the establishment are striking. In recent years, we have seen numerous examples of whistleblowers, activists, and public figures being marginalized, attacked, or silenced for speaking out against powerful institutions. From the treatment of Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning to the controversies surrounding figures like Julian Assange, there is a growing awareness of how those who challenge authority are often met with fierce resistance. Diana's story now fits squarely within this broader narrative, and her death will likely be re-examined in the context of institutional abuse of power. In the artistic and literary worlds, this revelation is sure to inspire a new wave of creative works centered on Diana's life and death. For years, Diana has been the subject of countless biographies, documentaries, and films. But this new information opens up new avenues for exploration. Filmmakers, authors, and artists will likely revisit Diana's story with fresh eyes, focusing on the darker aspects of her life and the conspiracy theories surrounding her death. These works could offer new perspectives on her legacy, examining how her struggles with the royal family reflected larger societal tensions and how her tragic end was a reflection of broader issues of power, control, and vulnerability. If you liked this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, could you leave your comments below and tell us, do you believe it was an inside job? What impact will this revelation have? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.